Hey Diary, how have you been doing? I've been doing great! If you remember last time, it kinda almost stopped being winter, and also I got this really kick-ass blue staff. Well, listen to this. So, turns out that having a really blue kick-ass staff doesn't actually, get you out of wherever you are. However, it does actually seem like winter is kind of over. I mean, it's still chilly and all, but I did start planning, well, maybe getting another farm or two, and basically getting more of everything, because looking through our winter chests, all we had was a bunch of monster meat that I need to figure out something to do with, and this extra spider egg thing that I planted a bit further up north of our camp, so I can use that to hopefully farm silk, because silk farming is very important. It seems to me that during the winter I somehow has collected a lisp, so I can't actually talk properly, which is slightly alarming. What's even more alarming though is the fact that those annoying penguins have disappeared. I'm not sure you remember, but during the winter there were tons of them all over the place. Well, today they were all gone. So, not only was I unable to attack them in such a fashion that they ran into my personal defense army, the beefaloes, but then they also had they just disappeared. So rude. Pingles are awful, awful people. And, I mean, even though winter is kind of over, it doesn't really mean that there's too much stuff that I can do yet, because it turns out that during winter, you need food, and you don't think about anything else. But then, one's like, ooh, look at me, I'm spring, let's go do stuff. And you're like, no, because I need twigs and shit. So, I spent the next day, just roaming around, looking at my surroundings, seeing if I could find more twigs and straw, which I could, by the way, thank you very much. I mean, you're always in need of straw, so you can make those traps for well, so I can get more silk, basically. But also, because I need straw to make, torches, because now that winter's over, I feel that wanderlust coming on again. Oh, right, by the way, I found this weird thing, again. And I've been thinking about what to do with it, and I decided to, let's just fuck it up. You survived winter, but no longer. It turns out when you beat it to a pulp, it actually unroots itself. So, I can probably plant that someplace later. In the afternoon, the rain actually stopped, and I found those alluring tracks again. Now, having been a big game hunter for almost no time at all, I could sense that the prey was near. Unfortunately, you had to dig up a whole bunch of piles to find it, and even then, looking at the clock, I realized at some point it might actually turn into dusk, and it's going to make it really hard to find all of these tracks. I mean, they were hard enough to find once you get off the green grass and into, well, dirt. But so far, I was able to keep track, and I thought that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance I could actually find this creature and acquire its essence. I think that's the scientific term, right? Acquire essence. It sounds scientific. In any case, as I was thinking about what was the most proper scientific term for killing an animal and then just using its corpse for fun. Oh, that sounded dirty. Dusk hit. And I'll be honest, it was kind of hard to see things. So, luckily, I had made preparations and I had a torch. I still worried a bit though, because we were on pretty rough ground and it was hard to cover the tracks. But the last track I found was pretty fresh, so I knew, and there it was. I decided that the boomerang was probably the best way to go about it. Unfortunately, the boomerang hit me and then the animal decided to attack me. It was, I'll be honest, a bit of a confusing fight. I at least had the precaution of having my pig hat on, which meant that I didn't take too much damage. In fact, I didn't take almost any damage. But when it hit, it didn't actually hurt that much. I don't know what the big deal was. And holy crap! Did he drop a lot of ham and a trunk of some kind. Unfortunately, I'd spent the day foraging in the woods, so my backpack was full, and it was kind of hard to decide on what to keep and what to leave behind. But in the end, I had to leave 2 very precious logs behind, and then try and make it home before, well, before it got dark, basically. No one knew if I was going to be able to do it, least of all me, but I ran like, well, I waddled like the wind towards my base camp. And spoilers, I made it, because, you know, I'm writing this, so it would have been pretty obvious otherwise. Once I get home, I was like, you know what? I don't need to be here. I can do stuff at night now. And a few nights ago, when I was mercilessly hunted by the hounds, I ran past some glowy stuff out in the woods. So I decided to, I say investigate, and capture it for scientific purposes. Unfortunately, it's really hard to hold a torch and like the thing you catch, like the net. Yeah, that's the net. That's the word. It's really hard to do both. So I tried my best, but it didn't really work. And if I got too close, they just disappeared. So I didn't really know what to do. Maybe plant a fire, but I didn't have any logs because I left them behind. Luckily, though, morning came and saved me. So now I got some glowy stuff that I don't really know what to do with. So I just placed them in my trunks. I also planted the weird, you know, eyeball thing. I figured that if I place them between the spiders, maybe the thing that attacks will attack the spiders and they will kill each other, and that'll be cool. Also, I had, thanks to my lovely bug net, captured a bunch of butterflies, which I promptly jammed into the ground and they turned into flowers, because that's how stuff works. Oh, and then I spent the evening silk farming, which is its own reward, really. Actually, that's not true, because all I want is silk, and I'll be honest, I got a bunch of monster meat, and if there's one thing I don't need at the moment, it's monster meat. I mean, I don't even have a plan on what to do with it. Luckily, though, my base were in fine form. Just fine form. Which, of course, meant that I could make my precious glazed ham. Unfortunately, there's barking again. So, at this point, I'm like, I know what to do. I've done this before. What I hadn't really counted on, though, well, was the fact that I didn't have any logs, and I need a fire, so, you know, to stay warm. Well, more to keep the darkness away, because the dark is really scary. But luckily, though, I also have an extra torch, because I have, through the use of math, discovered that 1 torch won't last me through the night. I need at least 1 more, and it's really difficult to build a torch while you're holding a torch with your other hand. It's finicky business. The attack this time around wasn't as bad, because I got, like, much further than last time before it got too dark, and I actually got to see the beefalo. So, I mean, I had a shot at finding them before it was too late. They were all sleeping, though, so we had to do some ring around the rosies as normal. But I felt like they woke up quicker than last time, so that was good. And while I tried my... Oh, well, somehow something started burning, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't me this time around. I know that whoever's reading this might construe it as me just whitewashing a beefalo burning incident, but I'll be honest, it wasn't me. What was me, however, was the miracle of science, I mean magic, that meant I could freeze one of the hounds, which looked very impressive, if I do say so myself, and the glazed ham was yummy. I think that's the word. I went back to, like, check and see if there were any cool stuff, but no, it's more just, well, 1, 2, or whatever it is, and then just monster meat. And I don't fucking care about monster meat anymore. I celebrated my continued survival by, you know, shaving, because I don't need the beard anymore, and as any grown man does, like, it's totally normal, and if someone tells you that it's not, they're wrong. But I save my beard trimmings because they might be useful later. And like I said, if anyone thinks that's weird, like, if you're reading this and you're not me, first of all, why the fuck are you reading my diary? Second of all, there's nothing wrong with the way I've decided to fashion my face. And if I like to keep part of my face fashion for later, then that's totally fine. Jeez, you are so judgmental for being someone that's reading my diary that I've written for me. I dislike you a lot. Well, not you, diary, but whoever's reading this, that's not me. And if I'm reading this, you're doing a bang-up job, Wilson. I like what you're doing, especially with the face. But, where was I? Oh, right. After surviving everything and getting my face shaved, I decided, you know what? I need to explore more. So, I jumped into a wormhole and just started walking around making my map. I figured this way, if I know the edges of where stuff is, maybe there's something I missed. And the only way to know that is to walk around the edge, basically. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything I missed, except for a grave that I dug up and found that red gem, which was cool. Oh, right, the mandrake. I decided to pick it up, and well, I didn't catch it, so I tried to chase it down, but it just ran away from me. And then there were spiders around, which, well, they attacked the mandrake, and the mandrake died, and I'm like, what is it? I think my eternal monologue went something like this: fuck that shit, I'm going home. Which I did. After getting some more green mushrooms, which are lovely, by the way. And some more honey from my beehive. My beehive is starting to produce a massive amount of honey, which is great, because I love honey. Also, it makes good food. Especially now that I have got all of that meat from the weird thing. Probably, like, pretend elephant dude. That's what I'm gonna call him. Oh, and it's actually, you know, at this point I feel like it's almost, well, it's definitely not winter anymore. So, I planted stuff in my farm, and I decided to hang up one of these, like, huge meats in my drying rack, and it'll probably be really good. As the last day of exploring had not found anything, but still had, it was, I'm not going to say it was a bad experience, because it wasn't. It was a fruitless and at the same time fruitful experience, because now I know that up to the north, there's fuck all. However, I do not know what the fuck all potential of the east is yet. So, that's where I decided to spend my day. Unfortunately, the east is some kind of marshland, and I'll be honest, it's a bit creepy. Especially considering the abandoned farm from someone else. And just to north of it, look at all this shit I found. Good news, though, is I found a blueprint for a birdcage. So I should probably try and build that at some point. And I found a lovely pig hat, because mine had broke earlier because I was fighting something and, you know, and being, like, showing someone who's boss. There's also a lot of reeds around, which is good, because I can make that healing item with papyrus and honey, and now I have honey, and having a lot of reeds seems like a good idea. The whole place, I'll be honest, a bit creepy. Like, not the nicest of sounds around here. It's not as charming as the savannah. And there were more mermen running around fighting something. I was planning on maybe, like, picking up the fish and stuff they dropped, but didn't really want to stay around. Felt like I was Halfway from home already. Pretty much at every instant, I felt like... Is that hounds I hear in the background? No. It wasn't. I made it home okay, but it freaked me out a bit. And it turns out, the East is a bit of a no-show too. So, to celebrate not being... I'll be honest. It's been a day. I've reflected on my behavior. But for some reason, after walking around in the marsh for a day, I was a bit freaked out. And I felt like the only thing I could do to soothe my nerves was to get some carpeted flooring. Which, once again, is totally normal. It's something people do a lot. It might have been wasteful on resources. I'll grant you that. But, it's fine. It's fine. Unfortunately, like, I had a hard time deciding on where to put it. In the end, I decided to put it slightly out of, well, basically where I don't do anything. So I just dug up the ground. And I was like, fuck this. Welcome, carpeted flooring. Hello, civilization. Wilson out.